Hello and welcome back to our Flash CS6 tutorial videos using ActionScript 3.0. This video is going to cover the topic of layers. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new ActionScript 3.0 document. And once that goes ahead and gets set up, if you remember in a previous video, I said that when you create a shape and then you create another shape or some kind of drawing on top of it, it erases everything underneath. Well, that only happens when we're working with one layer. So let's say I want to draw over something and I don't want to overwrite it. The way that I'm going to do that, I'm in layer 1, go ahead, click and drag, draw my object. I'll go ahead and create a new layer. And this is just this icon right here. If you hover over it, it says new layer. It looks kind of like a post-it note or a stack of post-it notes. Go ahead, click that button, and you can see now I have two layers. Whichever layer I have selected, which is indicated by this blue color in the background, that's the layer that I'm going to be writing to. So if I draw anything, it's going to appear on that layer. You can also tell by this pencil icon that appears next to the layer saying, hey, this is what I'm drawing on. So I'm going to make sure I'm on my second layer, which currently has nothing on it. I can tell by this frame being white and having this circle white as well. I'm going to go ahead and create a blue rectangle over my green rectangle. And now that I've done that, if I want to move this out of the way, you can see there that my shape is still in the background. Now, the problem with what we have here is that if I were to try and select this, individually, it's very hard to do because they're right on top of each other. It's very hard to get. If I wanted to get this whole square, I have to hold shift and try and click on the edges, and it's a little too complicated for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lock my layer 1, and that is right now my green rectangle. So now that I have that locked, I'm going to go ahead and move this square out of the way, and you can see I cannot select this rectangle. I cannot erase this rectangle. It kind of looks like it's being erased, but I'll show you it's not. See, it erased the green one. Or sorry, it did not erase the green one, but it did erase the blue one, and that's because I have my green rectangle layer locked. And if you happen to notice there's some kind of color coordination going on here, it's not on purpose, entirely on accident. But Flash allows you to, besides lock a layer, if you're trying to figure out what exactly is in the layer, you can just click on this color icon here, and you can actually change the color if you want, if you end up double clicking on it, but it'll just show you an outline of everything that's currently on the layer. So if even though the square is blue, if I click this purple box up here for layer 2, you can see it has an outline in purple. And just to prove to you that that actually works, I'll create another shape on layer 2, click the outline, and now you can see both my circle and my square are outlined because they're on that layer. I'm going to go ahead and delete that circle out of there. So let's say I want to know what's on these layers without having to do this whole outline shenanigans. The way you can do that is you can actually name your layers. So right now I have layer 1. I'm going to go ahead and double click on it, and it'll show a text editor now, and you can see that layer 1 has been highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead and type in green layer. It'll contain my green stuff, and I'll go ahead and type in blue layer. So now my blue layer has all my blue stuff. I know it's labeled, it's easy to find, makes it a lot easier on me. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my blue square over my green rectangle. I'm going to show you one little trick here. Besides locking things, you can also hide them. So there's a show and hide button, and it works the same way as the lock. You can just click it, and you can click this dot underneath the icon, same way, same functionality, or sorry, different functionality, same way to access it. So you click on this button here, this I button, and it either makes it visible or makes it invisible. And just so you're aware, when you click on this hide option, you can't actually edit your square or whatever shape is on that layer. So even though my square is here, I'm going to hide it. I'm going to go ahead and erase this corner, which my square was covering. Now if you go back, you can see nothing's changed. And when I hide this layer, you can see it gets rid of my pencil. It says, it puts a little extra saying you can't write to this, just like it does when I lock the layer. So hiding the layer essentially also locks the layer, but it's just whether or not you want to see it while you're not working with it, pretty much. There's a cool option here. If you just click on one of these layers and drag it down, you can reorder them. So I've put my blue layer underneath my green layer, and now you can see the blue square is below the green rectangle. That's very useful if you happen to draw things in the wrong order, or you decide later in the future that you're like, hey, this needs to be layered like this, whatever. That works. I'm going to go ahead and lock these two layers and create a new one. I'm going to call this one circle. I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle really quick. Don't worry about how to do that. I'll go over it in the future. It's pretty straightforward. Maybe you can figure it out. Now I have a circle. My circle is blue. It's on a different layer. I don't quite want it on the same layer. So maybe I'll go ahead and rename this to just a square instead of name I had before. But I want these two to be grouped. These two, let's say this is the head of a guy and this is his body, and I don't know, maybe this green thing is a chicken wing, but whatever. We want these to be grouped. You can actually create folders in the layers window or the timeline. Just go ahead and click this button right next to the new layer button. It's called new folder. And click new folder. You can see I can rename it just like I can rename layers. So I'm going to double click on it. This little text editor comes up. I'm going to go ahead and type in blue shapes. And now you see I have a folder, but there's nothing in it. We can tell that the folder is open when it has this open icon versus this close. You can also tell by this arrow being down or to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my circle, drag it into my blue shapes layer. I'm going to click on my square layer and drag it into my blue shapes layer. And now I have both of these in the same layer, or same folder. So if I was working with these and I wanted to hide all of them at the same time, instead of clicking individually, hide, or lock, I just click on this folder and everything underneath it locks or hides as well. This is just very useful if you're trying to create a person, you're trying to create something, and you need to have them grouped and you want to move them together, and they still need to be in layers. So that's about it for layers. We have showing and hiding, locking and unlocking, folders, renaming layers. We can also reposition layers. So if you want something to be on top of the other, you just click and drag. Besides that, in case you forgot, this is our stage, this is our toolbox, this is our timeline, and this is our properties inspector.